Hey everybody, my name is Erwin Sagia of MatchFit Performance and Bespoke Treatments. What I want to talk about today is why you are likely cueing or performing the hip flexor stretch incorrectly. So the hip flexor stretch is a common mobility tool that I give and is given out for a wide variety of reasons, but that's probably a discussion for another time. What I want to focus on is proper cueing and proper adjustments to make sure that your clients, your patients, or even you that are watching this video can make sure that you're getting a proper hip flexor stretch. So the first stretch, I'm going to go over two variations. The first stretch is actually just in a half kneel position. So you're going to start in a half kneel, and very commonly I'll have patients come back to me and say, I'm not really feeling it in the hip flexor, especially after proper cueing. So a very common misconception is you'll have patients that will move into this hip flexor stretch and probably won't feel anything because they have a severe anterior pelvic tilt. What you want to do is cue them to pull the navel into the spine and tuck the tailbone in. What this does is, because the hip flexor is shortened, we basically lengthen it through the spine and through the hip flexor. And then with this cue, you'll have them sit upright, and they should be feeling a stretch through the anterior hip at this point. If they're not getting any sort of a stretch, you can have them progress it by shifting their hips forward, but avoiding this arch in the lower back. So avoiding this, and having them maintain the spine in a neutral position and sliding forward into it while keeping the core and the glute engaged. So if we remember the attachments of the iliopsoas, which is the primary hip flexor stretch, and the primary muscles that are getting stretched in this position, the psoas originates in the lumbar spine, while the iliacus originates in the iliac fossa, and they both combine and meet along the level of the inguinal ligament, and then attach to the lesser trochanter along the anteromedial portion of the femur, if you want to get into semantics. If they are remaining in an anterior pelvic tilted position, so remember an anterior pelvic tilt is here, they won't get much of a stretch because the hip flexor is still in a shortened position. My second variation that I want to go over is a couch stretch. So the cues are essentially the same, and this can carry over to any sort of variation of the hip flexor stretch. So in this case, it's a bench, it's not a couch, but you'll have them set up in that couch stretch, and I have some tight hip flexors, so you can see that my lower back wants to stay in this position. So again, making sure that you cue the patient to pull the navel into the spine and then tuck the tailbone in. And I already feel the stretch in the anterior hip, but making sure that those two cues are probably the biggest takeaway from this video, and making sure that they keep their spine in a neutral position. That way they can get that crucial hip flexor stretch. So if you have any questions or any concerns, you can shoot me a direct message on Instagram or via email through Gmail at MatchFit Performance, or you can shoot me a tweet at MatchFitPX. Thanks for watching.